Military government, American style, is not an organized system of loot. That distinguishes it from the efforts in military government of the Axis powers. What it is a sincere effort to preserve and restore order at a time when that job is most difficult to do. I think a reference to how that job is to be done by Americans when they are operating in military government can best be given by referring to an old military government order written nearly 100 years ago. When men take up arms against one another in public war, they do not cease on that account to be moral beings responsible to one another and to God. Military government, American style, is a sincere effort to preserve order among civilians when that job is most difficult to do. I think an illustration of the way we are to act in doing that job may be very well taken from a famous order written nearly 100 years ago about military government in America. Men who take up arms against one another in public war do not cease on this account to be moral beings responsible to one another and to God. We carry over into American military government in an occupied territory many of the principles that we apply here in America itself. For example, when a man is charged with an offense as a war criminal or as some other offense, he is given every basic right that an American has when he is accused of something in the American courts.
When I drop my hand, Colonel, we will start.
Very good.
Gentlemen, we've emphasized three fundamental principles of American government: the separation of the military and the civil, the separation of church and state, and the elevation of the judiciary above every other branch in the interpretation of our government. Have you comments or questions on any one of these?
Don't you think, Colonel, that those things are typical outgrowths of American development, and that it is not possible to come to a similar achievement in continental Europe, especially in Germany?
Well, these are all children of their own soil, but the soil is much alike the world over, isn't it?
Yes, I think that men basically are the same, but nevertheless America has had a special chance in developing the kind of government which you have described, because it was free from the legacy of dynasties.
Zander, have you comments on this?
Well, it's very difficult because I fear that we are so much the children of our country that we see differences which usually...
Gentlemen, your problems are our problems. As you know, we're not here to propagandize you, but to enlighten you if we can.
Sir, I really should like to elaborate a little bit more on the problem of the separation of church and state, because I really think that the fact that we never achieved in establishing that separation had a great bearing upon the whole development of our country. And I would be especially interested in analyzing whether it will be possible or not to achieve this separation this time.
You have to first decide whether it's desirable, won't you?
That's right, but I think it certainly is.
Fellow students, I'm open to further instruction, for I'm here to learn as much as you.
Well, Colonel, sir, if I may say something to this subject of church and state, I think that the administration of the two should be separate, as my friend here has already said. But I think that modern state should act according to Christian principles, and it should at the same time not be
It should, but do you know any way of getting it to do so?
well,
You don't hope by separating them to achieve that end, do you?
yes, I think that the administration can be separate, but that at the same time the government should consist of persons, and the state should consist of persons that are on the ground of Christianity.
It is a consummation devoutly to be wished.
Yes, but I think that if Germany in former years had been on the ground of Christianity, I think that much of the atrocities and much of the inhuman things that have happened would not have happened.
Gentlemen, the same motif that has led us to separate church and state, that is, to keep power and perfection in independent categories, has led us also to give the most influence in the world to that department of our government which has the least possible power, namely to the courts.
Well, sir, you say they have the least possible power. They certainly have no executive power, but I think law and justice in itself is a power as long as it is respected.